are you today?
I'm well, Joe. How are you doing?
Doing well, thank you. Survived
The sun is shining.
Yes. We can. I was thinking this morning. We can never say it's too cold again.
That was pretty strange how quickly it came in, how quickly it went out.
Yes. But now we have something to compare cold to. So
That's true.
Even when it's 0 out, we can say, "Oh, that's nothing."
Right. Well, we can't complain. We really have had a good winter so far, and it's been we haven't had much cold. I mean, usually growing up, January was a cold month. You could days without going above freezing, but we've had a good run, except for that exception this weekend. I mean, gosh, it's been great on the heating bills.
Hear me knocking on all kinds of wood here?
Doesn't sound like wood, Joe.
Yes. Were there any problems in the city because of the extreme cold?
Yeah, we had some issues. The biggest issue was Montclair School. We had a pipe burst, and it caused the boiler room, the boilers to fill up with water, and so they worked all weekend to get that school back up and running. So, other than that, it wasn't bad. Thankfully, it was only for a day. So.
Yeah. Of course, the fire department had a very challenging time with that Liberty Street fire on Saturday morning.
Yeah, my heart breaks for John Delano, the owner of Making Your Mark. We do a lot of business with him for events and specialty items, and he's a great guy, works hard. Really feel for him. Yeah, and the firefighters did a great job, and they were smart. The chief ordered that the extra manpower when you have this kind of weather, because always seems to have tragedy when you have this kind of weather. If you go back and look, there's some real tough fires on the coldest days for whatever reason. So having that extra manpower was a huge help. As far as I know, no firefighters got injured. Nobody else was hurt. Obviously, the building was a big loss. They ran into issues with frozen hydrants, of course, with that kind of temperature drop. So they did a great job.
Yeah, I saw some of the pictures from the scene and just everything just encrusted in ice, including the firefighters themselves. So
sure, yeah,
very, very tough conditions. So kudos to them for sticking to it. And yeah, nobody injured at all. So that was the best outcome of a bad situation, certainly.
Absolutely.
Any news to report on the contract negotiation with Teachers Union, Mayor?
I know the negotiating team has another meeting scheduled for this Thursday after school, and I know Wednesday night we'll be discussing some of the items in executive session at the school committee in preparation for that negotiation session. As you may know, Joe, I don't sit on the negotiations as a team. School committee members and members of the superintendent's leadership team. And then, of course, the Quincy Education Association has a team, including a rep from the Mass Teachers Association. They have a number of observers in the room as well. So there's a lot of people in the room for negotiations, which I don't necessarily think is helpful, but that's the way it is right now. I am hopeful that we break some ground this Thursday. I know that the city has moved quite a bit since we started, and I know everyone's working hard. So I'm hopeful.
I know that a couple of school committee meetings ago, a couple of union representatives also expressed optimism. Did something change between then and now?
No, I think that as far as I know, nothing has changed. I think that people are working sincerely to try to get this done. I do think that there's probably a little bit of a feeling of I'm searching for the right word, Joe. With the MTA actions across the state, there obviously is an orchestrated agenda statewide with the MTA. I certainly hope we don't have to go down that road here in Quincy. So let's be hopeful for this Thursday.
Okay. Mayor, it's 2023 now, and
thanks for the reminder.
In 2 years, Quincy will celebrate the 400th anniversary of its incorporation as a city.
No. As a settlement.
A settlement, okay.
Yes.
And I know there are Quincy 400 plans that started several years ago. Did they take a back seat with the pandemic?
They certainly did.
Yeah.
In a sense of the amount of public meetings. But, before the pandemic, we had a number of public meetings and a lot of survey results and, a lot of discussions about things. And we did have some committee meetings about things. And we haven't stopped planning for improvements for the city. and we kind of built a lot of those improvements that would, most of them probably would happen anyway, but built them around the theme about making us a better community and what do we want to be in 2025 as a community. So I think we're still on track to accomplish some of that. We now have to begin in earnest planning whatever celebrations we're going to do that year as a city, as a community. I'm still hopeful about a cultural center slash arts center, or what we're going to call it in the end, but that certainly was a theme that seemed to override everything else that people were interested in seeing. And I think, as a city, and we've talked about it a number of times, Joe, that a city our size and our diversity, it certainly is time for such a facility in the downtown city, part of our city. The other challenge is in these times, the cost of everything has gone crazy. So what would have been hopefully a cultural center as part of another development in the downtown, we're working our tails off, but the numbers are daunting. So we're still working it. I'm hopeful we'll come up with an angle to pull it off. But yeah, we'll be re-engaging with the public in the coming, probably in the springtime. Pull some of those committees back together and give people updates on, where we've gone since that time we started. Because it's not like things stopped, Joe. I mean, obviously the pandemic, a lot of things stopped in the world, but the operation of the city kept running. We're still doing projects, still doing planning. So I think we'll be okay with some of the discussions that we had coming to fruition for 2025.
Yeah, I know the initial thought was a cultural performing arts center with residential development above that. Is that
correct? We're still looking at it.
Okay.
The developer in the city, we have not walked from the table. We've had many discussions at the table, and again, the numbers are quite daunting. But there's a spirit of cooperation with the developer and the city, and a willingness to try to get this done. So we'll hopefully within the next few months we'll say that same developer will be is doing some other buildings in the city. So he's active anyway in the city, and I know he's excited about the potential for this because he's quite an interesting background in the area of filmmaking and cultural areas. So he's definitely committed to try to help us get this done. So we'll see what happens in the coming days.
Is the thought kind of events throughout the year that year, or one big event at some time in 2025?
Probably be some special events throughout the year, but probably one big event as well. I don't know. That's a good question. That's what the committee will have to kind of kick around when we pull them back together this spring.
Okay. Speaking of events, something that is coming up very soon, February the 20th, is Winterfest.
Yes, indeed. On President's Day.
Yes.
The City of Presidents.
Quite appropriate.
Yes, John McDonald's been working, put that together. It's kind of a nice idea to bring families together. I know people look for things to do on holidays and school vacation weeks, so I'm hopeful that this will help our Quincy families. But a number of activities will be held that day, and it's a nice way to honor, again, President's Day and the Adams contributions to this country.
Yeah, Hancock Adams Common, right there in Quincy Center. Ice sculptures, performances, laser light shows. It's going to be quite a spectacle.
Sounds good.
Mayor, always good to talk to you. Appreciate your time.
My pleasure, Joe. Enjoy the day.
Thank you. You too.
Bye now.
Bye-bye.